welcome. This is my new video about how to handle criticism. This is actually first part of a two-part video. The next part is gonna be next week, and today I'm gonna be talking about some mistakes which people make when dealing with criticism. And next week I'm gonna be talking about what is the right way, how you can deal with criticism so that you will gain something from that and you're not gonna suffer as much from getting the criticism in the first place. Also, if you're new here and you enjoy topics from self-help and personal development, I will be really happy if you subscribe to my channel. Also, if you like this video, I will be glad if you give it a like. So, what are some ways how people deal with criticism in a wrong way, and what are the mistakes which they make? Well, first, they can deal with criticism in an aggressive way, and then in more passive way. And then there is assertive way, which I'm going to be talking about next week. So the mistakes are made within these two frames of aggressive way and passive way. This maybe reminds you, if you watched my last video about how to deal with conflicts, I also divided these two ways how people handle conflicts into aggressive and passive way. This is also the division I'm gonna apply here, but here it's gonna be connected to dealing with criticism. I'm gonna start with the aggressive way, how people deal with criticism. Maybe now already you're gonna tell me that you're not aggressive kind of person and you would never deal with anything in this way, but this doesn't mean that you yourself have to be aggressive. This means only the fact that you maybe apply some of these strategies. One of them can be that you start attacking the other person who's told you the criticism. This is a very common way in aggressive paradigm how people react to criticism. And it basically takes the attention from you and the way how this person criticizes you, and it puts it on them. And it shifts the focus, and it can even result in some kind of conflict between the two of you. And you will never learn the constructive criticism you might have if you just hear out the other person. Another way how you can handle criticism poorly can be by applying what can be called revenge criticism. Revenge criticism means that you're basically gonna make your revenge kind of, and you're gonna say statements to the person who criticized you in a way that you're gonna say something like, how can you criticize me? Look at yourself. Like, you're gonna also shift the focus of the attention to the other person, and it's gonna be in a way that you're gonna pinpoint some of their mistakes. It's also a form of attack. Another way is that you're gonna deny the criticism, you're gonna start a conflict with this other person, tell them that they're wrong and how dare they, and all these things. This is also an aggressive way. Then you can also be ignorant of this person, stop talking to them. This is kind of passive-aggressive kind of way how to deal with criticism, that you basically get pissed at them and you're not going to be talking with them, and you're basically going to freeze them out from your life, like temporarily or for a longer period of time. It's important if this person is somebody that you're in relationship with, or it's just some random person, maybe at your work or something like that. And so this can really differ. Another way how you can handle criticism in an aggressive way can be by using irony and sarcasm. I was kinda surprised that these were also aggressive kind of ways, because me personally, I enjoy good irony and I enjoy good sarcasm. I think people who use them have really great sense of humor, but this is meant in a way that if you use these strategies when dealing with criticism, it's no longer perceived as humorous, it's perceived as some kind of defense mechanism that you apply because this person hurt you and you have no idea how to deal with it, and so you use irony and sarcasm as defense mechanisms. This is kind of like a higher order defense mechanism. I personally don't have anything against that, but in this context it's problematic because you probably hiding your feelings and the conversation cannot continue about the constructive criticism and you can't get anything from that. And so I would really minimize the use of irony and sarcasm in this specific situation. Then there is another way how you deal with criticism poorly, and that is passive way. In passive way, what people usually do is that they kind of blindly and fully accept everything that is contained within the criticism. One way they do that is that they start blaming themselves, they are guilting themselves, they feel ashamed, they want to hide somewhere, they apologize to the other person, and they basically took full blame and full responsibility. They don't look critically at the person who told them the criticism, they don't look at the content of the criticism, they don't think about it. They just blindly accept everything. That's why it's called passive strategy. Sometimes this can display also in the fact that they're gonna overgeneralize the criticism to their entire life. Maybe they get criticized for some kind of bad presentation in work, and they're gonna generalize the criticism to their entire life, and they're gonna feel useless, they're gonna feel horrible, they're gonna feel like really bad person, and this is not a good thing to do when you deal with criticism, because the criticism is usually very specific and you can't extrapolate it to your entire way of life. This is not a good thing to do. Another bad way is that these people get oversensitive to criticism, hypersensitive. They then see criticism everywhere. They feel like if this one person criticizes them for something, like for their clothing or whatever, then everybody has to criticize them for that. Usually this can result in this person maybe not even ever wearing this clothing ever again. When parents criticize their kid for something, maybe the kid will have some kind of reaction to that, and this can produce some really bad things in the future if you react like this. When dealing with kids, it's really difficult because they're not educated enough to know this mechanism, but you, if you are an adult, then you can really deal with this in a more healthy way and really reframe these ideas you have in your head about criticism. Now I'm gonna give you practical examples so that you will know how this can be applied. If you would have a person who has a presentation in their work, and after the presentation somebody starts to criticize them. An aggressive person, what would they do? Aggressive person would probably get pissed off. They would maybe attack the other person. If they would apply revenge criticism, they would say something like, look at your presentation, how dare you criticize me. If they would want to attack the other person, they would start telling them like, you are idiot, you don't understand what this is about. I put a lot of work in that, how dare you? Or they would be pissed and stop talking to this person who criticized them, or they wouldn't even care to reply to them, they would freeze them out. Or in other ways they could use irony and sarcasm to deal with this, and this would be the wrong ways. And irony and sarcasm, it would be basically covering the fact that they are hurt and some aggressiveness within them towards this other person. If this person was passive, they would start apologizing, they would be admitting like the presentation was horrible, they wouldn't feel very good about it, and it wouldn't also result in anything positive. Or this person would overgeneralize it. Let's just say that somebody would criticize them for some specific component of the presentation, like the way how this person talked, and this person would be like, oh, my whole presentation was horrible. And there are some other parts to the presentation. There is how the presentation is structured, what is written on the slides, how it's made graphically, what is the content and structure of that, and the length, and anything basically. And by somebody criticizing only one aspect of it doesn't mean that the entire presentation would be wrong. And also this person would feel like that just because one person criticized them, that then everybody is criticizing them as well. This doesn't have to be the case at all. So you have to really think for yourself cognitively, what is this criticism really about? This is basically that you have a criticism from one person about one aspect of your presentation. It's not a criticism of the entire presentation, and it's not the criticism from everybody in the room. You really have to be able to distinguish these things and really know that you can't generalize blindly like this. You always have to ask, what are the specifics? Now, you might ask why this happens, why people react badly to criticism. People react badly to criticism because there are maybe some deficiencies within them. They maybe feel like they lack self-confidence, and they lack skills, and they lack many other things, and now they feel like somebody criticized them, and so all these deficiencies came to light basically, and now they feel really hurt. For the inner deficiencies, I made some videos in the past, like how to love yourself and the ideal and versus actual self. I will link it for you down below if you're interested. If this is really your problem, then it's really good to work on your inner strength. But if this is not the problem, then there can also be problem with the person who criticizes, because technically there can be a couple of ways how the person who criticizes, how they say their criticism. In the ideal way, you will have justified criticism, which is also said in a good way, like in a constructive way. Usually when people criticize, they don't know how to put the criticism constructively, and sometimes the criticism isn't even justified. Then you have justified criticism, which is not well said. It's said in a really horrible manner. You can have some kind of opinion about somebody and you might even tell them, but if you tell them in a bad way, like in an aggressive way, or you kind of use some kind of hateful words, you label them somehow, you are really not polite with your criticism, then this person is not going to take it. Even if the criticism would be justified, the way how you put it, it makes a big difference. And sometimes you can even have criticism which is not justified and which is not well said. It can be like something like some kind of hate speech towards somebody, where the people who criticize, they really have some kind of inner issues like hatred towards this person, envy, they are mad at somebody else and they have to ventilate it somehow. It can be many things, but these are strategies on the side of the person who criticizes and how it can influence the person who is being criticized. If the criticism is not justified, and if it's not said in a constructive way, if it's not put politely, then it can really hurt somebody. And it's not only about how you react to criticism, sometimes there can be issues on the part of the person who's criticizing as well. I'm going to be talking about this the next week in my video about how to handle criticism in the correct way, and I'm also going to focus on problems on the part of the person who criticizes. So this is everything for my today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. Or if you enjoy this topic, I will be happy if you subscribe to my channel and wait for my next week's episode. And I will see you next week with my next video. Bye.